Today I am going to be sharing my first installment of my 1990s Barbie collection update. This has been requested by quite a few people over the recent years, and this only includes Barbie herself, not Ken, not Skipper, not any of the family, not any of the friends. They all have their own videos, which eventually I will get to updating. I also use box date when I'm referring to my dolls, so if you see some kind of discrepancy, just know that I'm going by box date. My original collection videos were filmed back in December of 2016, so it's been about 8.5 years as I'm filming this in May of 2025. And my collection has grown pretty considerably because we buy a lot of secondhand dolls and we have pretty good luck finding them at the flea market. And on that note, a lot of these dolls, the majority of these dolls that you're going to be seeing in this video were purchased secondhand in varying degrees of bad condition. Some were horrifying, some were pretty nice. I put a lot of time and love and effort into making these dolls look better. It didn't happen overnight. Bear in mind that I've been collecting dolls for 27 years-ish. Taking into account when I was on a brief break as a teenager, so it's been a long time, and that is a huge passion of mine. I love rescuing dolls and making them over. I'm sure you've seen a lot of these ladies over the years in different transformation videos and haul videos, and of course all of the dolls you saw in the original 2016 videos are here too. They might have gotten new hairdos or body upgrades or new outfits, but they are all still here. If you are interested in seeing all of these dolls in more detail, if you're trying to identify dolls from your own collection, don't sit and pan through this video. That's going to create a lot of unnecessary work for yourself. I documented every single doll in my whole collection, not just Barbies, as well as all the clothes and all the playsets and all the accessories on my Flickr. You do not need a Flickr to view those photos. I have put in thousands of hours of work into my Flickr. Everything is really well organized, so if you're looking to identify a doll, you think that one of mine in this video looks familiar, check out my Flickr. I also label every outfit that is not their originals on their photos, so if there's a doll wearing an outfit and you want to know what it is, you can feel free to check it out on my Flickr. I'll have it labeled, or you can ask me in the comments. But I have chosen to divide my collection the same way I did originally. However, they're actually stored in double the amount of containers now. I recently reorganized them to provide for growing room. So they used to be in 4 containers, now they're in 8 containers. So I'm merging the 2 containers together so the videos stay the same. That's why it's so much longer. I think my original videos were around 20 minutes and these are probably going to be somewhere around an hour. And I do apologize that there was some shakiness in this video, and I kept accidentally covering up the mic in parts, I think, because usually I have my tripod base there and I was just holding my camera. So it had been a while since I filmed and I was kind of flustered and filmed a collection video, I should say, and I was kind of flustered and my cat was in the room playing with the dolls and trying to chew them, so I was a little bit distracted and I kept having to start over at some point because my brain was just fried, so I apologize for that. And I also want to say that I do have a really good memory for my dolls, but of course with time it can get a little fuzzy, so if you're wondering how I can remember all of my dolls, I keep track of them all on my Flickr, so if I'm kind of confused about where I got somebody, I can just glance at that and it'll kind of bring the memory back to the surface. So I don't necessarily remember everything right off the top of my head. I do sometimes need to make reference to my own Flickr. So without further ado, let's get into the collection video. This is 1990 Icecapades Barbie. I got her in 2014 at the local flea market. However, she was actually a gift. So the year prior, a man named Bob had purchased all of my dad's toy trucks, and when he was over buying them, we discussed how we collected Barbies, and he had given us some Barbies the year before, not long after he bought the trucks, and we bumped into him on opening day at the local flea market in 2014, and we had been looking at the Barbies he had for sale, and then we recognized him and he recognized us, and he let us have the 2 little cases with dolls in them for free because he knew we would, quote, do good things with them. This gal was actually featured in my 1980s collection video before. the dolls that are dated 1989 and 1990, it's the same doll dressed in a different outfit. I ended up getting this outfit at the Salvation Army in 2017, and I picked her to become my 1990 Ice Capades Barbie. I have Hannah. She is Air Force Barbie, Stars and Stripes. She was my sister's Christmas gift in 2017 from my Uncle Ray. We're not really related to him, but every year since 2013, he has surprised us with Barbies for Christmas. It's really thoughtful. Apparently he got them all from like the same seller on eBay, all the boxed ones. And then her little doppelganger here is named Savannah. She was a gift along with this Navy Barbie. They were both part of the Camo Clan lot, which was a gift earlier this year in 2025 that a very nice person sent us as a surprise. And there are some other dolls in this video that were from different lots that she gave us in the past. And the story behind them is that they were thrifted, so I'm guessing the same person originally owned them. 1990 Wedding Day Barbie. I got her in 2015 at the local flea market. There was a pretty large lot of 90s Barbies, and I really wanted them because there was the African American Bead Blast Barbie in that lot. And the name of the lot is the Bead Blast AA Barbie lot for that reason. And she was one of the few, if I'm not mistaken, who actually had like her whole outfit. And the lady next to her, this All-American Barbie on the left, is from that same lot. And I think we had pieces of her outfit already and then got a few more with her. She doesn't have her shirt still, neither does the lady next to her. We got her in the 2016 Fountain Mermaid lot at the flea market. There weren't a lot of dolls in this box. It was mostly clothes, and I think it was only $10 or $15. It was a fantastic deal. Then we have Fashion Play Barbie. I have the blonde and African American version. So I got this lady at the flea market in 2015. She was on a table with a moldy Wet n Wild Barbie and Ken and a Lilac and Lovely Barbie. And I ended up buying like the whole little group for really cheap. And I actually already had 2 of these, which worked out wonderfully because neither of these ladies had their outfits. Now I rescued her from a thrift store. I think it was in 2017. She's in my How I Reattach Doll Heads video. I got her at a local charity store, I want to say after my dentist appointment. We have my 2 Bath Time Fun ladies. So the gal on the left is my childhood one. I don't remember exactly which bin I got her from anymore because this was before we documented our Barbies, obviously, well before social media, but I'm guessing I got her sometime in 2003 or 2004. My sister really wanted a particular 1987 mold Skipper doll, and someone had like a box of Barbies and they weren't willing to part out the Skipper doll from the Barbies, and my dad ended up buying the whole lot. And I don't know if she was from that first lot or a later one, but that's how we got into buying doll bins. And then the lady next to her is from that same man named Bob, but she is one of the first dolls he gave us. And I already had this swimsuit for her, if I'm not mistaken. She did not have it when I got her. So my dad passed away in 2012, and when he was alive, he had a really expansive toy truck collection of like over 200 toy trucks, and it was just completely not manageable to take care of them all, and honestly, he didn't take very good care of them. So at some point, his best friend Billy sent over his friend Bob, who set up at flea markets, to look at my dad's toy trucks so he could like maybe buy them and sell them at the flea markets, and he ended up doing that. He bought most of my dad's toy trucks. We do still have some in the hutch in the hallway, but when he was over and we were talking about the toy trucks, we got on the conversation of how we collect dolls, and he was really interested in seeing them, and he saw like all of our dolls on display, and he thought we did really good things for them. So he said he had a big group of Barbies that he had had for years that belonged to a girl that had grown out of her dolls and gave them to him to sell. And he had been selling them off for years, but he had some mangy ones that just hadn't managed to sell. And he said he would bring them over to us in the future because, quote, we would do good things with them. And he sure enough turned up a few weeks later with the paper bag of Barbies. I have a whole Dolly Tales video on this particular lot, but it was really nice. They were super mangy looking, all in really bad condition. Clearly, like, the leftovers, all of the better dolls have been purchased. But the funny thing is, like, a few months before, when we had been at the local flea market, I saw those same dolls in that same paper bag, and I knew it was them because there was a Barbie in the Rockers doll that had caught my attention who was in really bad shape, and like I have a photographic memory, so I recognized them. So it was really cool that I ended up rescuing them anyways because I had initially wanted to, but didn't really have a justifiable reason to buy a bag of mostly duplicated Barbies. So we have my two happy birthday Barbies. The lady on the left was my first. I bought her separately at the flea market, I think in 2013, maybe 2012. She was a few dollars. I thought she was in really nice condition, and she's super iconic. I love these like birthday themed Barbies from back in the day. They were very extravagant, as you can see, and had really cute hair accessories and tinsel in her hair. And then the lady next to her we got in 2016 from the Ken Suitcase bin. It was opening day at the flea market that year. And we had like the world's greatest luck. I mean, very few flea marketing days have ever compared to that one. I found my American Girl Lindsay from one seller, and then I found this green suitcase that was filled with mostly like 80s and 90s Barbies that were in varying condition. And we were originally going to only buy a handful of them, but the seller said we could have the whole suitcase with 86 dolls for I think 20 bucks. And that was my second video ever on this channel. Those are the dolls featured in that video. And she was one of the few that actually had her outfit. Lovely Happy Holidays Barbie from 1990. I always wanted this gal since I found out that she existed in my collector Barbie books. I have a weakness for the Happy Holidays Barbies because my dad used to buy them for me when I was a kid at flea markets. I wanted to collect them all, and I found her, I saw her before at an indoor flea market, but she was too expensive boxed. And then this lady turned up on opening day 2014 at the flea market in, if you watch my dolly transformation videos, my yellow laundry tub that we use, it had several Happy Holidays Barbies from different years in it, and I think it was $5 for the whole tub, and they were wearing their outfits, but they clearly had been stored in like garage or basement because there was a bunch of mouse poo in the container, but they cleaned up wonderfully. She's amazing. And then we have not one, not two, but 6 Hawaiian foam Barbies. Yes, that's a lot of them, and not all of them have their complete swimsuit, like some of them do, but some of them are wearing like different bottoms. And I don't think I got the majority of these with their swimsuit pieces. In fact, I believe only this lady had her swimsuit. So this is one of our very, very first Barbies ever. Her name is Frostin'. She was my sister's childhood doll. She has been rebodied because her body was so loose that you would hold her and she would flop like a marionette. So I got her this body in like 2011. She's a Malaysia make. All of them are, I believe, Indonesia, except the one on the end here, which we'll get to. Our first Barbies were primarily secondhand. Colleen had gotten one brand new doll for a birthday gift, 1989, my first Barbie. But then our other Barbies after that were from my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, who worked at the Salvation Army. Sometimes would find like toys and stuff that were donated and they'd bring them home for us to have. And there was like this plastic bag filled with really mangy looking Barbies that were probably like at most 5 years out of date. They were trashed. Frostin' was like really bald. And Colleen got a pick first because she was the older sister, and that's actually how I got my very first Barbies. They were the rejects that Colleen didn't want. But Frostin' was one of my favorites of Colleen's. She has the sweetest face, and her name is supposed to be like frosting, but Colleen didn't know how to pronounce it at the time. So I was like 2 when this happened, so Colleen was like 6.5-ish. I gave her a partial reroot. I spent a lot of time trying to fix what was left of her original hair. I got her this swimsuit. Like, I found various pieces and made them together. She's really special, and I think she's the prettiest of them all. Then this lady is also from childhood. I had gotten to this phase of like wanting to find upgrades of my childhood Barbies, probably when I was like 10 or 11. And I would keep my eye out for them. And of course, back then, I didn't have access to the internet because this was the early 2000s. I didn't have doll collector books. So I was just going off of my own memory of the dolls. And when I saw her at an indoor flea market naked, sitting like on a random shelf with random junk, I recognized the little Z's in her eyes, and I ended up buying her. I think she was $2, and I recognized her as being Froston's doppelganger. They look different because they're different country makes, but yeah, she's fantastically beautiful and probably my second favorite of them. The lady next to her I got in 2011. She was in a We Three Friends zipper case with Sweet 16 Mary-Kate and Ashley. I really wanted Mary-Kate and Ashley. And she was in the zipper case, and then I also got a Wizard of Oz Dorothy from the same seller. She was out of the case, but he let us have the case and Dorothy for $5. And she's in really wonderful condition. I styled their hair all differently, so I can tell them apart more easily. I mean, she's in really bad condition, and Froston looks way different, but that's how I can tell them apart if you're wondering. And then this lady was from the Happy Family Flea Market lot of 2012. It was, I want to say sometime in the late summer or early fall. I noticed a cardboard box that had Happy Family Grandma from the kitchen set, and I really wanted her, and there was also like an Allen, so that's why it got its name, Happy Family Lot. She was kind of an outlier. She was one of the few 90s dolls from that bin, and she's in heinous shape, like, comparatively. I did my best to spruce her up, but she has like a lot of little split ends and things, despite my many attempts to boil wash her. Whoa, we don't need to see that. Really nice lady here who I believe I got with her outfit. She is from the Tortured Treasures bin of 2020. That's one of my most viewed transformation videos on my channel. In early 2020, my sister's friend that used to work, she was a secretary at the high school my sister worked at back then. She was with her boyfriend cleaning out his attic, and there was a little file box filled with his daughter's childhood Barbies, and he was literally just going to throw out the whole box. And Kathy stopped him, and she said, wait, I know people who would use those dolls. And there was this beautiful, glorious file box filled with Barbies. She's in amazing shape. And then we have Little Miss Hawaiian Fun from the Mountains of Monsters lot of 2023. She was also a gift. Now, she is a Malaysia make like Froston. Colleen had been on the hunt for a Malaysia make like Froston for years, and I remember someone at the flea market had one, but she was, I think, $5 and in the wrong outfit and not in the best shape. So as soon as she saw this doll, she squealed in delight. This same person who gave us the Camo Clan lot sent us quite a few other dolls over the years, and this lot had, I think, over 160 something dolls, I think, in the lot. They were in 2 huge boxes, and they just like showed up one day, and there were mainly Monster High, but there were also a lot of other dolls, and this lady was in that bin, and she's fantastic. So she's very sentimental because she was a very thoughtful gift, and she is the only other one like Froston. 1991 Pretty Heart Barbie. I got her boxed at Savers in late 2020. She was $5, and I just couldn't leave her behind. And what's really cool is 11U Barbie from 1983 uses the same like heart print. The outfit looks super similar, and I always had my eye on her in collector books and stuff for that reason. American Beauty Queen Barbie. She is really special. She's one of the most sentimental in this particular video. She was a surprise Christmas gift in 2013. Her, and you'll see Southern Belle Barbie down there in a minute. My family doesn't like formally exchange Christmas gifts. It was like our second Christmas without Dad, who had passed away in 2012, and we were at my Auntie Kim and Uncle David's house, and everybody was kind of exchanging gifts, and we were kind of just sitting there watching everyone open gifts. Then my Auntie Kim comes over with 2 wrapped Barbies, and she said, oh, they're from Uncle Ray. So we had met Uncle Ray that Thanksgiving, so literally like a month before. I got introduced to Ray, and we got to talking, and he makes little miniatures. And we're into dolls, and, you know, we kind of bonded over the similar hobbies, and he took it upon himself. Even though him and Auntie Sue couldn't be there for Christmas, he took it upon himself to go on eBay and find 2 Barbies that were both dated 1991 that were still sealed in their box, and surprised us with them. And this one was labeled for Colleen, and it's funny because she always wanted her in the Ultimate Barbie book when we would be looking through there. And it just like meant the world to us because, you know, to be thought of, and it was someone we had only met one other time, and like that he really cared and took an interest. According to him, all of the Barbies that he had purchased us off eBay were from the same seller over the years. So Hannah, who you saw earlier, Air Force Barbie, was also from that seller, and I guess like he told the seller that, so it's really cool. My parents always made sure Christmas was special for us, but I think like when you're an adult and you don't have that anymore and somebody thinks of you like that, it might have just been like one Barbie each, but like it might as well have been the equivalent of like 1,000 Barbies, because that's how much it meant to us. So she is super special. Fashion Play Barbie, 2 of them. So this one is named Mary. We got her in the spring of 2016. My friend's grandmother, who she calls Grammy, she passed away that March, and we knew her grandmother. She always jokingly said that she like adopted us as granddaughters. When she passed away, we were helping my friend Lisa and her mom clean out Grammy's house, and we found this random Fashion Play Barbie, and she was still boxed, if I'm not mistaken, and like some fashion packs. And they said that we could have them, and we also got some of Grammy's doll chairs that my American girls use. The Hispanic one was my first. I got her in 2013, I think. A friend of mine found her at an indoor flea market, sent me pictures and asked if I wanted her, and I was like, oh yeah. And I ended up paying her back later on. And then we have my 3 1991 Happy Holidays Barbies. This was my first lady. I got her on opening day 2014 at the flea market in that yellow laundry tub with my 1990 Barbie we talked about before. She is my only one that has her outfit. It is a little faded in spots for some reason. It was like that when I got her. I don't know if it's like how she was displayed or something, but she has an amazing outfit. And then the lady next to her was from the Teresa lot of 2016. That's one of my first transformation videos. We got like a ton of dolls, and she's featured in there. There were a lot of Teresa dolls, and that's why we wanted to buy the lot, and she kind of just tagged along. And then the lady next to her is from the 2017 $5 bin bonanza. One of the first weekends in the 2017 flea market season, someone had a huge container. It was filled with just like tons of dolls, and most of them were like, I would say 2000s and like maybe early 2010s, but there were a few random 90s ones in there, and despite the fact that she didn't have her outfit, she's in impeccable condition. My 2 pretty surprise Barbies, we have Jenny and Jill. Jenny is a childhood doll. She did not have this outfit. I got this outfit. It was one of my first acquisitions as an adult collector, where I reunited a childhood doll with an outfit. I had no clue who she was when I was a kid. I got her at the flea market in, it must have been 2002 or 2001. My mom was still alive, and there was this seller that had a little like 1980s dining room table, and they had a bike, and they had Jenny, and she was wearing a babysitter skipper outfit, which we didn't know what it was at the time. And I just fell in love with her really cool bow earrings and her pretty two-toned hair. And I thought her outfit, which wasn't actually hers, but I thought it was cute, so we bought her and the table and the bike. And then Jill over here was from Bob. She was from the original paper bag of dolls Bob gave us. And I have restyled her hair since my first video. She is really cute, and it took me a lot of work to fix up her hair because they have Saran and Kanekalon, so it's kind of hard to like sort out with the 2 types being blended together. 3 rollerblade Barbies. So these 2 are from my childhood. I got them together. They were from one of those various flea market lots my dad bought me, and I remember getting them together because I was looking through the dolls and I noticed that they looked the same, and their factory earrings were snapped off. I had no clue they were like the iconic rollerblade Barbie, and I do remember that I got one of these outfits in that lot, but I don't think I realized it was real Barbie, and I don't know if we like donated it or something, but I remember sitting in the back of the car looking through the clothes and seeing the outfit and kind of like putting it in the don't keep pile. So I got this later on as an adult. And then this lady is my newest. She's from the Tortured Treasures lot I told you about that my sister's friend Kathy saved for us. And this was the very first outfit I painted that was peeling, so it's not the best job, but my school fun Barbie, who was a Toys R Us exclusive, I got her as a kid from one of those various flea market lots. And I did go through some of my dolls like during my 5-year hiatus of not collecting or playing with them as a kid, and I did get rid of some of them, but every time it came to this doll, I just could not part with her because I really loved her cool earrings, and she kind of reminds me of Dance Club Barbie, Kula. who was a childhood favorite. My two Sharon sisters from 1991. This one on the left here was my first. We got her at an indoor flea market in early 2011. She was in a baby cradle with the Skipper and Stacy from her set, as well as like a great shape Skipper and another doll my sister wanted. And we hadn't purchased any Barbies at that point. Like, I was exclusively collecting Disney dolls. But when we saw the sister pack, Colleen and I were obsessed with sister packs when we were kids. We always dreamed of having sets like this, and we didn't even know it existed until we got Marcy Malilo's book. So we just had to get them, and they were in really nice condition. Obviously, like, we did her crimps and stuff, but she had her whole outfit, shoes and everything. And then the lady next to her is from the Ken Suitcase bin that we got on opening day 2016 at the flea market. She was really shabby. We did get the Skipper, I think, from her set, but not Stacy. And I already had this outfit. I've had this outfit since I was a kid. Someone was wearing it when I bought them when I was a kid. I forget which doll now, but it just worked out that way. That's why it's a lot more faded, because I played with it a lot. Southern Belle Barbie. She was my Christmas gift from Ray in 2013. And funnily enough, I had ogled her many times in the Marcy Malilo Ultimate Barbie book. So, I don't know, like, he has a strange gift, Uncle Ray, for picking out really good dolls. Like, he doesn't know anything about dolls, but somehow he always picks, like, ones that mean something to us. She has little bow earrings, just like Jenny, but in purple. She is discolored. I did stain removal treatment on her some years ago, and it did work, but the discoloration came back, so that's why she kind of looks weirdly tan right there. And I always loved like country themed type Barbies and ones that came in, like, I don't know, like kind of Bo Peep-ish outfits. Very iconic sparkle eyes Barbie. I have 3 of them. So I had one of these growing up. I got her in one of the flea market lots that I can't recall which specific one anymore. I thought she was creepy, and she was one of the dolls that got purged in like early 2011, right when we started collecting again, and I always regretted that. And then this lady turned up in 2013. She was from Bob. She was one of the dolls he gave us in that paper bag, and she's really special. And I don't know why I thought like they were so creepy when I was a kid, because while the rhinestones aren't my favorite feature, I don't think she's creepy. And then the lady next to her, I got in the 60 doll bin on opening day 2013 at the local flea market. As the name suggests, there were around 60 Barbies in that container. The guy that we got the Oldie Moldies lot, that was one of the first things we bought from him. He had like this big container of dolls, and we went and we purchased a few of them separately because there weren't a lot of extra clothes in the container. A lot of the dolls were naked, and we didn't want to take on that many naked dolls. But after some contemplation and walking around the flea market, we came back, and he ended up selling us the whole bin, and I ended up reuniting both of these guys with their outfits later on. Now her, I think I had this outfit, I think I got it from the same bin as her. I got her in 2014 at the flea market. It was on Memorial Day, and we were just about done walking through the flea market. We thought we were going to go home empty-handed, because usually not a lot of people are set up on the holidays. But I spotted this green container that was filled with just like a bunch of 90s Barbies, and they were filthy. Like, when we went home and sorted through the dolls, there was actual crud, like dirt and stuff caked on the carpet so badly that like we didn't even want to identify them. We cleaned them first, and I had to vacuum the carpet. And there was also like food wrappers and food with them. It was pretty gnarly. She was also kind of moldy. Some of them were pretty moldy. And then we have one of my older ladies that I got as an adult collector, circa 2011. It was the fall. My dad told me about this indoor flea market where he had found some box dolls for me at, and we went there together with Colleen one day, and there was this little trailer outside the building. There was this container that had a bunch of really mangy 90s Barbies. A lot of them were like decapitated and broken, but there were some really cool Disney dolls and like Disney clothes that I just had to have. So we call it the Filthy Disney bin, and that is where she came from. I believe I got her a new body at some point because she had like peeling rubber, and I would have never guessed she was Sun Sensation Barbie because she was just so mangled looking, but that is where she's from. And I made an error when talking about the doll on the right when I originally recorded. She is from the 2017 Clueless lot we got at the flea market towards the beginning of the season. She was actually in pretty shabby condition compared to the other dolls except Baywatch Barbie, but she's still nicer than my first one, as you can see, and they're very different variants. That's why they look so unique. We have Rappin' Rockin' Barbie. She was a very thoughtful gift. We got her last summer in 2024 in July. The people who gave us Lainey, my American Girl, they sent us 2 boxes that arrived like consecutive days after each other, and we call it the Biggies and Barbies lot because there were a lot of like Cabbage Patch dolls, and then she was from one of their personal collections, and I actually already had like her outfit except the skirt, and she still had her skirt on, so that's really cool, and we had wanted her for a while, so it's awesome that we finally have her. We have Miss Snap and Play Barbie. I got her at a charity store in, what was it, 2021, I think? I think I had a Snap and Play Barbie as a kid. I'm pretty sure I did. I got her used, but I don't know what happened to her. Maybe I got rid of her back then. I'm not sure. But I had had part of this fashion pack, this skirt, since I was a kid. I definitely got that on one of those flea market lots. And when I saw her at this charity store, she was wearing the top I needed. I just couldn't leave her behind. She's cute. And this is a special head mold. The best-selling Barbie of all time, Totally Hair Barbie from 1991. I only have the blonde and brunette versions. So this blonde and this brunette were both my childhood dolls. I got them secondhand at the flea market. I believe I bought them both separately. Maybe this one was in a bin. I don't remember anymore. I know I bought Kimberly separate. Her name is Kim because I named her after my Auntie Kim, because growing up my Auntie Kim had really long brown hair, and you can see all of them have their really long hair. It was actually the doll that made me want to figure out how to better clean up doll hair. I remember trying to like blow dry her hair like so it wasn't frizzy anymore in 2011 when I first started collecting dolls again. And I used to blow dry my doll's hair as a kid, so I was using a technique I used as a kid, and that's what prompted me to go on Google, and I found out about the boil wash. So it was all thanks to this lady. And this girl I got in the Happy Family lot I talked about before in 2012. She was one of the reasons I wanted the lot, because when I saw her, and I believe she had her outfit and everything, I just could not believe the luck that she still had her super long hair, because you know how many of these dolls I have seen. There's a reason I was able to reunite so many of them with their outfits, because I think that a lot of times the dolls got butchered and then their outfits are the only thing that survived. So when I see them with long hair, I have to rescue them if they're the right price. Lord knows they don't need to meet a scissor happy child. And you can tell, like, I promised myself, though I did like to give dolls haircuts, I abstained from cutting those two's hair as a kid. And then the last blonde lady over here, she was a Christmas gift in 2021 from my Uncle Ray. That year we weren't able to meet up with the family for Christmas because I think that some people got COVID, I think. I don't know. So we went over a few weeks into the new year, and we picked up the Christmas gifts, and they were actually ones he found at a thrift store that year, so there were a few boxed ones. They found her used, and she had her shoes and everything, so yeah, she's really special. And then my other brunette here, I got her at a charity store, thrift store, the same one that I got Snap and Play Barbie at, and she wasn't wearing her outfit or anything, and she was, I think, $3 or $4, but when I saw that long hair, I couldn't leave her behind. I knew she'd clean up wonderfully because she was in pretty decent shape, and Kimberly was one of my childhood favorites, so of course I wanted to get another Kimberly doll. I call her Kimmy. And we have my first Barbie. She was from the Mountains of Monsters lot. That was a gift in 2023. So some of the dolls had clearly been sent like with the intention of either using as body donors or they were just like really, really scary looking. And she had her body at the time, but her arms were both busted off. And on like an older Barbie, it's not hard to reattach the arms, but on like these 66 style bodies, the way the articulation is, it like breaks the mechanism inside, and I've tried cracking them open and fixing it, but honestly it's just better to get a new body for them, and I had a body donor for her, so yeah, she needed a lot of work. Enchanted Evenings Barbie. She's probably my most recent acquisition from in this video. So I got her last fall in 2024. It was, I think, the last Sunday we went to the flea market, or one of the last Sundays we went to the flea market before it got too cold to keep going. We went inside the building because there weren't too many people set up that Sunday. This guy that I've occasionally have luck with, he had a beautiful case of primarily 1980s Barbies, but there were also some early 90s ones. We call it the Great 80s lot. I have a haul video on my channel. They were all in like beautiful condition, and I actually had her coat already, so I recognized her right away. I just had to buy them, and it was like a really good deal for the whole case. My first Barbie, 1992. She was actually a super thoughtful gift that we were given in July of 2024. This Barbie from one of their personal collections, and I think they were duplicates, and she came with the bodice, and I had had the skirt for years, so that worked out perfectly. Then we have 92 Sharon's Sisters Barbie. I have two of them. The one on the left was my first. We found her inside the building at the local flea market, still sealed in the box with Stacy and Skipper. The woman that we bought them from in the past, in like 2012 and 2013, we would buy from her pretty regularly, but the quality of her dolls was pretty bad. Like, we found moth damage and bugs in the packages and missing things, so we didn't really keep buying from her for long, but we saw this set and we just had to get them. And then funnily enough, it was only a few months later, this lady came along in the Tortured Treasures lot. She was a really thoughtful gift, and she's definitely in rougher condition than Barbie, and we don't have the second Skipper for this set. We only have Stacy, so it was fine that we got them boxed. And in that same lot, the Tortured Treasures lot of 2020, we got this back to school Barbie. She is awesome. She was one of the few non-duplicated dolls in that bin, which I was fine with, you know, like, I don't want dolls that are perfectly good getting thrown out. But you can see she even had her like hair ribbon and shoes and stuff. She's in fantastic condition. Evening Elegance Barbie. She is really special. She was a Christmas gift in 2016. It was the first, like, Christmas gifts I ever showed on my channel. And I remember opening her up after Christmas because Sue and Ray couldn't be there at Christmas that year for some reason. So when they went to visit my Auntie Kim later on, they dropped off her Christmas gifts. So we got them kind of, like, unexpectedly a few days after Christmas or something. Caboodles Barbie. My sister had caboodles growing up. I actually used to use them as like part of my doll grocery store as like the freezer section, fun fact. So the lady on the far left here, I got her from the local flea market in 2011 or 2012 from this regular seller they used to set up. She had her hat still sewn on her head, and I remember she was like $2, and I recognized her right away. Excuse me, Quasimodo. Quasi. See, he can't be trusted, he bites. Then the lady next to her was from the Ken suitcase bin of 2016. A few months later, in the late summer, early fall, I got this lady in the Teresa lot, and she was in it, and I didn't have an outfit for her. I already had this outfit at home for her, but I didn't have an outfit for her. This is Bubble Bath Surprise Barbie. I had her swimsuit for a while, and I always wanted to find this doll. I think the bath time dolls are super cute. And then in the summer of 2019, I saw this like big yellow case and a bunch of Barbie play sets piled up next to it, and the seller let us have it all for a really good deal. And the thing was, the dolls were insanely moldy, like covered in some kind of black mold. So we dubbed it the Oldie Moldies lot, but as you can see, she has made a full recovery. And so has Love to Read Barbie, who was also in that bin with one of her children. She is an icon. I used to admire her in the Ultimate Barbie book when I got into collecting. I think it's really cool that she came with like the teacher Barbie kids who use the Rosebud mold and like the Heart Family kid mold. We have Earring Magic Barbie ×2. The one on the left is my childhood friend. I couldn't tell you the bin that I got her from anymore because as kids we didn't like have formal names for bins. And we took like a 5-year break from dolls, so some of that memory got erased in that break. But I did get her from one of the large bins because that was something we got into buying in the early 2000s. And then the lady next to her, I feel like I've had her just as long, but I got her probably about 10 years after the fact. She is from the quote-unquote filthy Disney bin, and I'm pretty sure I already had this dress for her at home. We have a 1992 Fun to Dress Barbie. We have Rose and Rosalita, and the African American one is named Rosalind. So Rose was one of my sister's very first Barbies growing up, and one of her first brand new ones that was purchased at the store. She's actually the gift set variation, that's why she's wearing the swimsuit. And I got really into playing with her for a while. I gave her a haircut. It's kind of hard to see, but it is shorter than the others. And then at some point in the early 2000s, I went on a kick of like trying to find upgrades of our childhood dolls. I saw her and I could tell her hair was like a different type. I didn't know it was like Kanekalon and Saran, but I could tell it was a different hair type and it was golden. But I recognized her face and I bought her, and we already had a robe for her at home. And then we have this lady who was actually a super generous gift. She does have a little bit of like damage on her nose, probably from a mouse chewing her. She actually looks like Rose. She is the same like hair variation, but the hair type doesn't correlate with the gift set or separately sold version. You can find either them packaged either way. And then we have Rosalind here, who is my beloved AA doll. I bought her in the summer of 2015 at an antique store we used to love going to with my dad, and we kept going pretty regularly after he passed away for a few years. It was a rainy Sunday, so we couldn't go to the flea market, and I found her, and you're going to see another doll in this video I found the same day, and I got some musical princess Disney dolls that were loose, but like pretty much brand new. Glitter Beach Barbie, I have 3 of them. So these 2 ladies here, I have had since childhood. They were from some of those flea market lots that we got, that my dad must have bought because Colleen wanted a specific Skipper doll and the people wouldn't part them out. So I believe I actually got these 2 together because I know in one of the bins it must have belonged to siblings because there were duplicates of a lot of things like Rollerblade Barbie and Camp Barbie and Glitter Beach Barbie, and I'm pretty sure I had both of their swimsuits too as a kid. And then the lady over here, she was a super generous gift. We got her in 2013 from this man named Bob. 1992 holiday Barbie. She is a magnificent work of art, is she not? She is one of the highest quality Barbie dolls, in my opinion, in my entire collection. We got her on opening day at the flea market in 2014. She was in that tub with a few other 90s holiday Barbies. We have Kool-Aid Wacky Warehouse Barbies, one of my oldie but goodies. She was part of the aforementioned filthy Disney bin. She has worn this outfit since I got her because I think she looks stellar in it. I used to always fantasize about getting like those mail-in Barbies. I don't remember seeing Kool-Aid Barbie advertised with Kool-Aid, though I did used to drink it as a child, but I do vividly remember wanting the Little Debbie's Barbies and imagining owning them. So she was like one of my first like special fancy mail-in Barbies that I had, and she still has a lot of novelty despite not having the Kool-Aid outfit. We have the lovely Red Romance Barbie. She is from Bob. She was from the same paper bag as this lady, and she was one of the few that actually had her outfit. Troll Barbie, who I named Tina. I have had her since I was a kid. I don't remember what year I got her. I'm guessing 2000 or 2001. My sister and I got really into collecting trolls. We would just go to thrift stores and flea markets, and we'd buy like old, mostly rust trolls. We had, I want to say, about 50 or so of them. I donated them when we first started collecting dolls because we weren't really doing anything with them. But when I found this Barbie boxed at an indoor flea market around that time, I just thought she was such an icon, and I had to get her. And I named her Tina, and she has these rad troll earrings. She was like our little mascot. We have Holiday Hostess Barbie. She was a Christmas 2015 gift from my Uncle Ray that I mentioned before. She is so cute in this little Santa outfit and with her green eyeshadow. And of course, she's super special. It means the world to me that like he thought of us all those years, and I think it's really cool that he even bought them from the same eBay sellers. We have my 2 Dolls of the World Native American Barbies. The Dolls of the World series is one of my absolute favorites to collect, and I also specifically love Native American Barbies. One on the left I got in 2017 from the $5 bin bonanza. The lady next to her was also from the Mountains of Monsters lot. Stars and Stripes Army Barbie. She was actually a gift from the same woman who gave me this doll, but she was from this year, 2025. She was part of the Camo Clan lot. She always wanted more of these army-themed dolls. I remember on Father's Day 2012 seeing them at this really large outdoor flea market. There was a drive-in movie theater by night when we went with my dad's best friend. I remember seeing some boxed army dolls and thinking about buying them, but amazing Hollywood hair Barbie, one of my absolute favorites. They were definitely a part of my childhood because my sister had Skipper. Ken was our first and only store-bought Ken when we were growing up. He was a birthday gift that my sister had gotten. And Tiffany over here was a doll that I got in the very early 2000s. I want to say my mom was still alive. I went through a little kick of like buying boxed like early 90s Barbies that, you know, at the time I thought were like old, which back then they were only like 10 years old, but I thought they were really cool, and I loved her long hair, which is Saran, and she's the deluxe gift set version, and I did really enjoy playing with her. And then the lady next to her, her name is Tanya. I got her at the flea market in I think 2012 or 2013. She was in a little 90s Barbie case with Beauty Secrets Barbie and Paint and Dazzle Barbie. I have no idea how Beauty Secrets Barbie from the late 70s ended up in there, but it's a deluxe version too because she had this outfit. And then we have my third lady who doesn't have a name currently. She is from the Little Angels Palooza lot of 2020. So that flea market season, we found this big box that had a bunch of Bratz Little Angels, and I so very rarely see them. And the guy wanted a lot of money for the box and like the play set, the Castle in the Clouds playset, and like the boxed dolls that he also had. I think it was like $75, and if it had been anything but Bratz, I probably would have walked away, but I just had to get them. And she was kind of a little stowaway, and I'd actually seen another one of these in the Tortured Treasures lot a few months prior, but her hair was like completely butchered, so I couldn't save her. So I was excited because she's a different like facial variation. And then we have this My First Barbie from 93. She is from the Bee Blast Barbie AA lot of 2015. Then we have my two bedtime Barbies. The one on the left is from the Ken suitcase bin that I mentioned before. She had one of the worst cases of like Kaneko on hair I have ever seen. If you look at my boil wash tutorial, she is the lady in the thumbnail that looks like she has cotton instead of hair because it was all frizzy. I think what happened is someone ran her through the dryer because she has a little cloth body, because it looked to me like when you throw a stuffed animal that has fur and it gets all like balled up. So I had to spend a lot of time on her hair to get it nice again, and it still feels kind of coarse, but it doesn't look bad anymore. And then the lady next to her is from the aforementioned Oldie Moldies bin. She was obviously properly sanitized, so she's not moldy anymore. And I think I already had this nightgown. I don't think she had it when I got her. I have 5 camp Barbies. So this is my childhood girl. She did not have her outfit when I was growing up because I got her from one of the various flea market lots my dad bought me in the early 2000s. She used to have a twin. I had 2 of them. I believe I got them together. But my other one I sold at a yard sale like the first few months I was collecting dolls again, and I always felt bad about it. And you can see she's like a little bit of damage to her face because at some point she was with the yard sale stuff in a trailer my dad had in the yard, and some mice kind of chewed her. So, poor Barbie. And I got this outfit on a doll for $1. I dressed a superstar Barbie in it at an indoor flea market in, I think, 2013. So, I saw the outfit and I put it on a doll I wanted. And then this lady next to her, I've had her for a really long time. I got her in 2013. She was from this little paper bag of dolls we got for $10 at the flea market. I believe it was from Ken Suitcase Guy, but before we knew him really well. And the reason I wanted that lot was because it had a lot of Kelly clothes inside, so even though there wasn't a big volume of stuff for $10, it was worth it. However, my lady in the middle here is my favorite. She was a gift in 2014 from my dad's friend Steve. Steve and my dad used to like hang out a lot, and he set up at a yard sale with my dad before, and he did a lot of like flea market setups and selling at yard sales and things. And I guess one day when he was at a yard sale, he found this Camp Barbie and then a little Barbie mini mart and a separately sold Barbie stove from the 90s, and he thought of me and my sister, and he bought them for us, and I just thought it was super nice. So she had been pulled out of her box, but her stuff, like her shoes, were there, but she was super moldy. I'm pretty sure I had to remove stains off her legs, and she reeked of mold for a long time. If you give it time, it goes away, and if you display them in an area with like out in the open where it's kind of sunny, the sun naturally kills that smell, so she smells good now. Then this lady was from the Ken Suitcase lot of 2016, and then this girl was from the $5 Bin Bonanza of 2017, and she was one of the outliers because again, most of them were from the 2000s. Dolls of the World Chinese Barbies. The one on the left I got at the flea market. She wasn't boxed. Her outer cardboard box was missing, but she was mounted on the tray. And I think I got her for like $3, and I just love Chinese and like Asian themed Barbies, and I love the Kira head mold. That is one of my favorites. Second lady, who I got in this past fall in 2024, she was from the Great 80s lot. Then we have my Dolls of the World Dutch Barbie. I bought her separately at the flea market from this guy. We call him the Tycho Eric guy because I got my first Tycho Eric from him. They were in a cardboard box, and they were like, she was standing up with her arm draped around the edge of the box. And as soon as I saw her, I was so excited because we used to have the McDonald's Barbies of her, and I just vividly remember like having the mini version and wanting the full-sized version. And then we have Glitter Hair Barbie, the brunette and the blonde. I had the brunette way before the blonde. A friend of mine found her boxed at an indoor flea market and picked her up for me, and then I paid her back later on. She is gorgeous. I love her really long hair. I love the palm tree earrings. I love the little mini dresses. And this girl, I got her at the Salvation Army in, was it 2019? I found her and a Jasmine doll and a Kira doll, and someone must have donated them all together, and when I saw the long hair, I was like, that's Glitter Hair Barbie. She's awesome, and I already had her outfit at home. I had to take it off of my Cool Times Barbie named Allison. We have Fountain Mermaid Barbie. I got her in 2016 from the Fountain Mermaid lot. It was named after her because she was really unique. I'm sorry, they look a little disheveled over here because my cat, Quasimodo, was cuddling with them / trying to eat them a few minutes ago. So my lady on the far left here was my first. I got her in 2012 at the local flea market in this box called the, quote, Happy Family Bin, and she had her outfit. I got her little leggings later on. She did not have them for a long time. My lady in the middle here is on the wrong body. She is from the Ken Suitcase bin. There were quite a few dolls in that lot that were just decapitated or on the wrong bodies. And then I believe I already had that outfit for her. But this lady, she had her whole outfit, and she is from the Tortured Treasures lot that I told you about before that my sister's friend Kathy got for us. She even has her shoes and her medal, and she is in fantastic condition. I can't believe someone's gonna throw her away. Like, that is just mind-boggling. And I mean, of course, she didn't look this nice when I got her, but clearly she had potential. We have Paint and Dazzle Barbie. I have 2 blondes and 2 brunettes. So this blonde I've had since I was a kid. She was in one of the many doll lots my dad got me at the flea market, and I always thought she was really pretty. I liked her earrings. And then the lady next to her I got in that small case with my Hollywood hair Barbie named Tanya, and she had her whole outfit. You can see you were supposed to decorate these, so they're kind of decorated differently. It's a very bad gimmick. Like, that never works out. I remember being a kid and stuff like that never working out. Now my brunettes here, I love them. I think they're so pretty. So the one on the left I got in 2013 on opening day at the flea market from the $60 bin. She was actually one of the ones that I bought separately because when my sister and I first saw the bin, we realized that most of the dolls were naked and we didn't want to necessarily adopt that many naked ones. But after some contemplation and buying this girl and a few others separately, we doubled back and we bought the big bin of dolls from him. And this lovely brunette lady, who is the saran hair variation, she is from the Tortured Treasures lot. She's one of my favorites from that lot. Like, I think she's even more fantastic than my first one. And she was actually wearing this outfit when I got her, and I liked it so much on her that after we cleaned her in the outfit, we dressed her back in it. We have 3 Sunjewel Barbies. The one on the far left is named Deanie. She was my sister's childhood Barbie, one of the very first ones she got brand new. My dad let Colleen pick her out for one of her birthdays, but because I was really little, we're 4.5 years apart, he had her pick me out a Barbie too, because he didn't want me getting jealous, and she picked me out Kira from this line. I really loved playing with Deanie as a kid. This isn't the bathing suit we had back then for her. She got an upgrade because hers is, I think the top is hers, but the bottoms were really faded. And this lady in the middle, she is pristine. She is from the Tycho Eric guy. I got her, I want to say the same day as my Dutch Barbie, and we would have bought the whole box from him, but he wanted a lot of money for the whole box and just wasn't worth it. Like, if you're buying in bulk, it's kind of for the deal. But she's fantastic, and I'm glad we got her. And then this lady, I think I got her in 2013, and I think I got her in 2014. There was a little container that had some 90s and 80s Barbies in it, and I remember it was $5, and I bought it because there was a Jasmine with cut hair, and I really needed the body for my Princess in Pink doll because her neck was majorly cracked, and this gal just came along for the ride, and she's actually wearing my childhood Sunjewel Kira's bathing suit. We have Twinkle Lights Barbie. I got her in the Filthy Disney bin of 2011, so at that indoor yard sale, and I've had this lights and lace outfit since I was a kid. It looks fantastic on her. I remember originally I wasn't sure if I was going to keep her because back then I did that thing where every time I got dolls, I'd evaluate who would stay and who would go. I don't do that anymore. I find it, like, way too stressful. It definitely feeds on my compulsions to, like, get rid of things, and then I'll regret it, and then I'll want to buy them back. So I'm glad I kept her because she cleaned up so beautifully, and I never expected that she would. We have my 2 Western Stampin' Barbies. The one on the left is from Bob. She was in that little paper bag of Barbies he brought over. She's looking a lot better now than she did back then. I recently crimped her hair, and she needed earrings. And I had these pieces to her outfit since I was a kid. I got them in some random flea market lot. And the pants are actually from the gift set that was sold with the horse. And then the lady next to her is from the Clueless lot. We got it in early spring of 2017 at the local flea market. The thing I remember most about that lot, other than the fact that the dolls were from the 90s in an amazing condition, like barely played with, was that we were originally going to buy a few of them separate, and we were loading up the dolls into like a paper bag the guy had, and then he ended up making an offer for the whole bin or something. I forget how we ended up coming to the conclusion we were buying the whole bin. Somehow we didn't notice that the dentist Kelly from that bin was still in the paper bag, and when we got home we literally realized Kelly was missing, and it's all caught on camera, and we went back to the flea market because it was still open and the guy couldn't find Kelly. So she must have just been a stowaway in somebody's bag, and I hope she found a good home, but that's what I remember. But this Western Stampin' Barbie had her outfit and was in great condition. And then we have Bicycling Barbie. I've had her bike since I was a kid. I got it from a seller at the flea market with my pretty surprise Barbie named Jenny in the early 2000s, and I never knew who it went to until I was an adult, and then I found out it went to this lady. But I got her many, many years later. I got her in the Oldie Moldies lot of 2019, and you would never know because she has her outfit, her hair is in amazing condition. So it was definitely worth cleaning up the mold for. My Great Era's Egyptian Queen Barbie. I got her at that antique store with my African American Fun to Dress Barbie in 2015. So I remember I had seen her, I think, before at that antique store, and she was kind of expensive, like for what I like to pay. I think she was $20, and I'm usually pretty stingy. Ancient Egypt is has always been one of my favorite historical eras to learn about. I got really obsessed with it when I was in elementary school, and so much so that I was getting books at the book fair, and I had this little mummy kit, and I even found a dead mouse in the yard and quote mummified it. the things we do as kids. I just had to have this Barbie, and she has such a beautiful ornate outfit. I love this collection. I really want to find more great eras Barbies. I don't think like her skin tone and her head mold look particularly Egyptian. This, I think she's the 35th anniversary reproduction Barbie. She's supposed to be like a replica of Barbie #1. And you can see that they did the irises correctly on this doll. I got her boxed at the local flea market in 2019. This lady, she still sets up, but she's moved into the building at the flea market. She had a bunch of dolls that I guess they got from an attic of some kind. She called them the attic dolls. And that fall, we bought a lot from her because the prices were really cheap. I don't remember how much I paid for her anymore. I have her in a haul video, but I thought that's a really good deal for a repro because I had seen her before at an indoor flea market, a different one, and she was really expensive, but I do really like these reproductions, though having the originals is even cooler perhaps. We have Dr. Barbie from '93. I always admired her in the pages of Marcy Malila's Ultimate Barbie book. However, I did not realize that this is molded to her. That is such a shame. Like, I do not like super gimmicky dolls because as a kid, if I had bought this Barbie and then realized that, I would have been devastated because you can't just dress her in anything, and I probably would have tried prying that off, which for Barbie's sake, I'm glad that didn't happen. But I got her in the great 80s lot this past fall in 2024. I was really excited about her in particular because I did not have her already, and I just love doctor-themed Barbies. When I was a kid, my pet Dr. Barbie was not only the town vet, but also the regular doctor. And last but not least, we have Fashion Play Barbie. She is from the Biggies and Barbies lot we got in July of 2024. That was a gift from the people who gave me my Lainey. She was from one of their personal collections, and I have 2 of these outfits actually, and I'm really glad I do because this looks fantastic on my Be Blast Barbie, my African American one. It's one of my favorite 90s outfits. It looks awesome on so many dolls, and she is so pretty, and I'm really excited to like finally have the doll that goes to this awesome outfit. I hope you enjoyed this collection video. All of these dolls are pictured on my Flickr if you're interested in identifying any of your dolls or just seeing more detailed photos and reading more about them. You don't need a Flickr to view it. Stay tuned for the next 3 installments, and until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.